Welcome to Behaving Forward with Dr. M. I'm glad you're here. A few years ago, this humble chicken scratch ended up being a really powerful tool in my work with a client. I scribbled it on a piece of paper, and for a long time, we kept getting it out and we would reference this as we would approach different problems. And it was really useful. So I took a picture of it, and this is not the original. This is a first edition redrawing of it, still many years old, that I used again and again, and I started using with other clients. It just seemed like a simple way of tackling some really complex issues. At its core, I want you to be thinking about you existing and being comprised of four distinct parts, okay? We think stuff, okay? We feel stuff. We have a body that we get to be a human in. This is our container for having a human journey. And then there's behavior that we execute. And of all four of those things, the most powerful, the most impactful, the most dictating of the quality of your life is behavior. Behavior is human currency. It is how we transact with each other. So foundational to this framework is the notion that your behavior, and that does include language, that does include things you might do with your body, is the most important thing that you will get to do. But those other tiles, the thinking tile, the feeling tile, the body tile, are the places where you line things up so that you can execute a behavior. So let's talk about quadrant one, thinking things. So not everything you think is accurate. This is something we know, but we kind of don't know. In fact, research has identified at least 20 different cognitive distortions, which is from the psychology theory. And behavioral economics and social psychology have given us other ways of thinking about cognitive distortions, and they call them cognitive bias. And so I could list for you about 30 different ways that this perceiving machine is objectively inaccurate. Now, this thing up here is highly inefficient. Think first generation Hummer, 4 miles a gallon. So we develop cheats. Our brain develops a set of cheats where we kind of lay down train tracks, or you can think of it as like we kind of build that groove down the hill. If you are at all familiar with this sort of world, that people talk about that a lot, like there's a luge at the top of the snowy hill, and you go down it so many times, eventually you can't not go down that particular path. And so one of the things in the Behave Forward framework that we tackle is psychological flexibility. Now, that doesn't always mean that you change the thinking. It sometimes means you jump over to a different tile. If you're caught in thought loops, is there a way you can look opposite and do something with your body to interrupt it? We'll talk more about looking opposite, which is also a thing in basketball. Maybe you're over here in the feeling quadrant, and this feeling quadrant is fraught because we are capable of feeling things that are completely inaccurate, not proportional. We feel things big, we feel things too small, and there's all kinds of reasons for that. So we have inadvertently, in a lot of our mental health approaches, double down on getting your thinking right before you take action, or getting your feelings right before you take action. And it is my position that that's not always true, nor is it helpful. And some folks can't. Now, I believe so much in psychological flexibility that I partnered in the opening of an integrated ketamine infusion practice with an anesthesiologist, because ketamine is the molecule of more flexibility. And I hope that I get to talk to you more about that over time. But for now, I want you to begin to understand that you have 4 component parts. You think stuff, you feel stuff, you have a body, that's your container you get to be a human in, and then you execute behaviors. My goal is that I can get people here faster and more efficiently. And this paradox happens that thoughts and feelings tend to catch up when we behave forward strategically. I look forward to telling you more about it. So let's dig into cognitive distortions a little bit.